Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this webinar on the Housing Communications Hub. I'm Amy Clark, Director of Marketing and Communications at the National Housing Conference and Community Manager of the Hub. First, I'd like to address technical difficulties. While I hope the webinar runs smoothly for everyone, we all know that this doesn't always happen. If you run into any technical difficulties during the webinar, please click Help at the top of the control panel to access online help from the experts at GoToWebinar. If that doesn't work, please email info@nhc.org. Audio tends to be the issue that people encounter most frequently. So I'd love it if all of you could just type in the question box and let me know whether or not you can hear me clearly. I'll take a moment for you to do that. Looks like at least one person can hear me. A few more. All right. Great. Thanks for your help with that. Again, if you have issues, you can either use GoToWebinar support or email info@nhc.org. The second thing that I want to let you know is that all participant lines are muted. However, I will be taking your questions. If you have a question at any time during the webinar, please submit it through the question box in the GoToWebinar control panel, just like you did to let me know that you could hear me. I'll answer as many of your questions as possible at the end of the webinar. Finally, this webinar is being recorded and the slides will be made available after the webinar. Everyone who registered for the webinar will get an email from me with instructions for accessing the slides and the webinar recording. So most of you are already pretty familiar with the National Housing Conference, but I wanted to give you a quick refresher. We're an evidence-based affordable housing advocacy organization. We focus on federal housing policy, and we also focus on providing research, tools, and other resources for developers, advocates, service providers, and others across the country. The Hub is part of that effort to provide resources that will help build the capacity of the housing community. All right, so this is the Hub. I know many of you have already visited the Hub, and a number of you already have accounts, but for those of you who haven't been here, this is it. You can access the Hub online at hub.nhc.org. I want to take a moment now to suggest a couple of different viewing options for this webinar. I'll be presenting slides that show you how to use the most important features of the Hub. You're welcome to just watch the slides and listen. You can also open up a web browser next to the GoToWebinar viewer. Go to hub.nhc.org and follow along with me if you'd like. However you choose to participate, this webinar is being recorded and the slides will be made available afterwards. Everyone who registered for the webinar will get an email from me with instructions for accessing the slides and the webinar recording. All right, so what is the Housing Communications Hub? Pardon me. Back when NHC first started thinking about creating this resource, we thought we would provide a toolkit or a guidebook to housing communications. How to talk about affordable housing, how to talk about ending homelessness, how to pitch stories to the media, that kind of thing. But what we very quickly realized is that there are people working in housing across the U.S. who already have good answers to these questions and are already doing great work in communications. What's really needed is a place for the housing community to come together and to share all these things that are working so well. This is an idea that really resonates with me personally. I got my start in housing at the Washington Low-Income Housing Alliance in Seattle. I did communications work there as well, and to be honest with you, some days I felt a little bit isolated. I was one of the few people in the state approaching housing from a communications perspective. I knew there were folks in other parts of the country who were doing great housing communications, but there wasn't always an easy way to figure out who they were and to see what they were doing, and certainly not to connect with them in any efficient way. I could have really benefited from the Hub back then, and I'm hoping that it can become a community that provides the support and resources that will build communications capacity of everyone in housing. So when you visit hub.nhc.org, this is what you'll see. Right underneath the Hub logo is that blue ribbon menu, which gives you access to all the different sections of the Hub. Hovering over any of the words in the menu with your mouse will produce what's called a flyout menu, which allows you to go to subsections of each area if they have them. You can also just click on the individual items in the ribbon menu to go to the landing page for each section. Below the ribbon menu is the slide deck. Right now, the slides just have some basic information about the hub and some illustrations, but when we roll out new features or have events to announce, you'll see slides there with new information. Next to the slide deck is the list of most active members in the last 30 days. The formula is a bit of a secret, but if you participate in discussions, connect with other hub members, and share resources, your activity score will increase, and you just might see your face here. Below the slide deck and the most active users, you'll see 3 columns. Under Quick Links, you'll find links to upcoming events, a quick explanation of the hub, and a little bit of information about NHC. The middle section, See What's New, is where you'll find previews of the most recent conversations in the discussion forum, and below that, links to the latest resources your fellow hub members have shared. In the right column, under Explore and Connect, you'll find a video tutorial on the hub, plus links to hub member blog posts. So let's get started on the hub. For the remainder of the webinar, I'm going to take you through creating an account, filling out your membership profile, participating in the discussion forum, adding to the resource library, connecting with hub members, posting events, and blogging. I'll take your questions at the end. The first step I'll take you through is creating an account. If you don't have a hub account already, when you visit hub.nhc.org, you'll see a big red box in the upper right-hand corner of the page that says Login to see member-only content. When you click on that box, it'll take you to a page where you can either log in if you already have an account, or click the green Create Account button to request an account. When you click Create an Account, you'll be taken to a page that asks for a little bit more information about you. Fill in the required information and anything else you'd like, and then click the Submit button to finish. You'll get an email from do-not-reply@connectedcommunity.org to confirm your account request. Connected Community is just the name of the software we use for the hub. You might have to check your junk email box or spam filter to find this email. It's important that you click on the link in the email to complete the account request process. This just provides confirmation to us that you really did intend to join the hub. Once you've confirmed your account request, your request is reviewed, and you should receive an email in 3 days or fewer letting you know that you've been accepted to the hub community. Some of you who are following along on the hub in your web browser may not yet have accounts on the hub. You're welcome to create an account now while I'm talking you through the process if you're interested. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to review and approve your request during the webinar, but I will email everyone a link to download the webinar slides and recording after the webinar, so you can watch the webinar again if you'd like once your account is approved, and you can continue walking through the process. I'm the one who personally reviews every account request. I'm letting you know this because I want you to know that I'm looking closely at everyone who asks to be a member of the hub to be sure they're a good fit for the community. I want to make sure that the hub is full of people who are interested in housing communications, and that the hub really can be a community where we all have a sense of support and safety and trust. That's why we ask you to give us your full name and your company along with your email address. If I'm not familiar with the individual or with the organization, I do a little research to make sure that that person will be a good fit. This might sound a little bit picky or a little bit exclusive, but my goal is to protect the community and to ensure that you get the discussion, resources, and professional network that you signed up for. Once I've approved your account, it's time to personalize your profile. You can get to your profile by clicking Profile in the ribbon menu I showed you earlier. When you're logged in, you'll also see that the red Login to See Member-Only Content box is now replaced by a blue box with your name. This box gives you easy links to visit your profile, log out of the hub, and view any messages you've received from other hub members. It also has a red bar that lets you know how complete your profile is. There are a few different areas for you to fill out in your profile, like your biography, current and past work, and your housing and communications interests. I hope you'll also add a picture of yourself. It can be a professional headshot or a personal photo, whatever you like and are comfortable with and want to use as your face when you're on the hub. We added a feature that makes all of this a little bit easier by allowing you to grab your profile information directly from your LinkedIn account if you happen to have one. When you click the Pull from LinkedIn link, you'll be taken to a page where you can select which information from your LinkedIn profile you want to use on the hub. I can feel some of you wondering why you need yet another social profile to maintain, and I completely empathize with you, but I wanted to show you this. This is a screenshot of what my personalized profile looks like, along with a screenshot of what a profile looks like when you don't personalize it. Your peers on the Hub are much more likely to trust resources and advice from someone who is upfront about who they are. The Hub is really a way for us all to virtually meet and interact with housing professionals from around the country, and making it possible for folks to get to know you a bit from your profile will make that go much more smoothly. So now that we've set up our accounts and personalized our profiles, let's talk about features. One of the top features of the Hub is the discussion forum. Only Hub members can view discussion posts, and only Hub members can post in the discussion. So it's a place where you can really feel comfortable asking questions of your peers. You can access the discussion forum by clicking Discussion in the ribbon menu on each page. You can also access it from the Hub homepage. This latest discussions module that you see right here in the slide is in the middle of the page. It shows the 3 most recent discussions. You can visit those discussion threads by clicking on the subject line, or you can see all of the discussions in the forum by clicking More. If you want to post to the discussion forum, just click Ask a Question. We've added another layer of security here by asking new Hub members to join the discussion forum. That might sound redundant because you've already become a member of the Hub, but joining the discussion is really about selecting your email preferences. The Hub allows you to receive emails notifying you of posts in the discussion forum. As much as I would like to imagine that all of you visit the Hub several times a day, I know that this is probably not going to be the case. So instead, you can opt to receive emails that will let you know that there are posts in the discussion forum that you should check out. When you join the discussion, you have the opportunity to choose your email preferences and let us know whether you'd like to get a daily digest, an email every time a question or response is posted, or no email at all. I recommend the daily digest email. It's not too much email, but it does let you know every day if there's a discussion worth checking out. You can always change your discussion email subscription preferences by clicking the My Subscriptions link in the flyout menu under My Profile in the ribbon menu. Asking a question in the discussion forum is very simple. Clicking Ask a Question will take you to a page that looks and acts very much like Gmail or another web-based email system, and there's a little screenshot of that on the slide as well. Select the discussion forum you want to post to, either the Hub discussion or the site support discussion. Include a subject line and type in your question. When you click Submit, your question will post to the forum, and it'll also be included in digest emails for the Hub members who choose to receive them. So that way people know that you've got a question, and the likelihood of them coming to answer and help you out will increase. Next up is the resource library. Just like with the discussion forum, you can access the resource library from any page by clicking Resource Library in the blue ribbon menu. If you hover over Resource Library there, you'll get another flyout menu that shows all the resource categories, as well as links to view all the resources and share your own resources. You can also access the resource library from the home page in the center below the latest discussions module that we just looked at on the previous slide. It shows the 3 most recently shared resources. You can view individual resources by clicking on the resource title, or you can see all of the resources in the library by clicking More. If you want to add to the resource library, click Share a Resource. As with the discussion forum, resource library resources are only visible to those with Hub accounts. Originally, the resource library was set up to be viewed by anyone, but I decided to increase the security of the library so that Hub members could share their own communications resources and feel confident that the people accessing them really were their peers in housing. So to get the resource library going, NEC staff pull together resources from organizations across the country. It's all stuff we think is great, but we also know that there's new work happening and work we're not aware of, but that you are. I really hope that you'll share communications tools, research and resources that you've created or use as part of your housing work so Hub members can learn from your work. Many Hub users have already done that, and you can take a look at what they've shared. Sometimes the best resource isn't the work, it's the person who did the work. The Hub is set up so that you can connect with other Hub members and send personal messages. How do you find members to contact? One way is to hover your mouse over the directory link in the ribbon menu. This will bring up yet another flyout menu. Click on Find a Member, and you'll be taken to a search page where you can enter information like name or email address. Advanced search gives you a few more options, and Find Everyone is something that only I have access to as an administrator. You can also click the name of a hub member who posted in the discussion forum, shared a resource, or created other public activity on the site, like a blog post. This is great for when you want to make a conversation private or just as a way to build your personal network and become more connected to other members of the hub community. Another making connections feature I want to point out is the hub networks. Networks are created automatically when 2 or more hub members include the same demographic information in their profiles. Here on the screen is a screenshot of my networks from my own profile. Your networks are visible on your profile page below your picture. So you can see here that I have a network of hub members in Washington, D.C. I'm part of networks for a number of different interests, and I belong to networks based on my current and former places of employment. When I click on any of those network links, it brings up a list of everyone in that network. So for example, if I wanted to contact every hub member who works in Washington, D.C. and suggest we all meet up for coffee and talk about housing communications, I can do that using the hub networks. This is another great reason why you should fill out your profile as completely as you feel comfortable, because it helps you find networks of people who share interests and backgrounds. So now I want to show you a couple of neat extras on the hub, the events calendar and the blogging feature. The events calendar is a way for you to share housing communications related events with other hub members. If you're going to have a communications related workshop at your annual conference, for example, you can share that on the calendar and perhaps drum up a little interest from hub members. If you were planning a get-together for hub members in your area, that's another kind of event that could go on this calendar. To get into the calendar, you just click on Events in the blue ribbon menu. The Events page defaults to List View, which you see here with today's webinar coming up on the top. But you can also change that to the calendar view if you prefer viewing it that way. And if you want to use the search function, you can look for specific kinds of events by keyword. To add your own event, just click that gray Add an Event button. You can add as much information to the event as you like, including uploading a logo for the event, and you can also link to an outside registration or information page. The final feature I'll share with you today is the blogging platform. If you have something to share that's not really a question for the discussion forum and not a neat and tidy, well put together resource for the resource library, then you might want to write a blog post. Blog posts are a great way to share your expertise with other hub members and to tell the story of how your achievements came to be. Are you marketing your affordable housing in a new way that's bringing in more prospective renters or buyers? Share your marketing materials in the resource library and then write a quick blog post to share with your fellow hub members how your new marketing plan works and what you've learned along the way. Have you gotten some great press coverage lately? Write up a short blog post about how you pitched the story and how you're making use of the story now that it's published. All hub members have their own blogs, and any blog post you write can also be associated with the discussion forum. You can find and read the latest blogs on the homepage in the right side column below the hub tutorial video. You can also see blog posts that have been associated with the discussion forum on the main discussion forum page on the right-hand side below the announcements module. To write your first blog post, just head over to your profile page and click the My Blog tab. Click the text link that says Add a New Blog Post. You'll be taken to a text editor page very similar to the one you used to post questions in the discussion forum. You see that for the bottom image on this slide. Give your post a title, and then if you'd like, you can choose your own URL or web address for the post if you want your post to have a particular address, or if you're interested in optimizing the URL for web search. Type in your blog post or paste it in from another document. One important tip for you, if you've written your post in Microsoft Word and want to copy and paste it, then use that little clipboard with the W on it to paste in your text. I've got it circled in red there. Just click on that clipboard with the W, paste the text into the window that pops up, and then click Paste. This strips out formatting from Microsoft Word that's incompatible with web editors, so the formatting will come out the way you want it to. Then you can associate your post with a discussion community if you choose. For example, if I wanted to write a blog post about a common technical issue members are having with the hub, I could associate that post with the site support discussion since it's about a support topic. Then the post would show up when members visited the site support discussion page, in addition to appearing in my personal blog and on the homepage. The next thing you want to do is decide who can read the post and who can comment on the post. My recommendation is to make the post readable to the public. That way, when someone searches the internet for the topic you've written about, that person has a chance of finding your post, learning about your work and your perspective, and considering you an expert in that area. When it comes to commenting, I recommend that you set the post to authenticated. Authenticated users just means Hub members. They've gone through that account application process. That way, even if your post is public, only those who are part of the Hub community can comment on your post. Once you've chosen your settings, you can publish your post or save it for later if you need to stop midway through or want to think something over before publishing. One additional option I'd like to point out isn't on the Hub at all. It's the housingpolicy.org forum. The housingpolicy.org forum, which I know many of you are familiar with, is a great place to go if you have questions about housing development or housing policy issues. The forum feature on housingpolicy.org is very similar to the Hub in that you can create an account and post questions. The housingpolicy.org forum has many different discussion categories: affordable housing, energy efficiency, foreclosure recovery, housing and natural disasters, housing for older adults, inclusionary zoning, rental housing preservation, shared equity homeownership, and transit-oriented development. Tons and tons of stuff. If you have questions or thoughts to share about a housing topic that doesn't strictly touch on communications, then the housingpolicy.org forum is a great place to post questions and share your ideas. Oh, believe it or not, we've come to the end of my part of the presentation. Now I'd love to take your questions. As I mentioned, you can submit your questions through the question box in the GoToWebinar control panel. While you finish typing, I also wanted to point out my contact information, which is right here on this slide. If you have a question after the webinar or some thoughts you'd like to share about the Hub sometime down the road, please do get in touch. That's my email address and my Twitter handle, and I've included a link to my Hub profile as well. The Hub is your community, so I really want to see your feedback on what works and what doesn't, and what more you need from the Hub. So with that, I will check and see if I've got questions from you. All right. All right. Got a few questions here. The first question is, will the NSA be able to access this information? You know, I can't speak to that specifically, but I imagine, as with everything on the internet, private is never completely private. All right. All right. One question. How does someone who already has an account become eligible to join a discussion? So all you have to do is go to the discussion forum itself, click on, hover over discussions in that ribbon menu, click on Hub Discussions, and it will take you to that main page. And there should be a link there that says Join the Discussion, and that'll take you through the process to select your email settings. If that doesn't work for you, shoot me an email or message me through the Hub itself, and I'll look into it for you. That's one of the areas where we've had sort of the most challenges, because we've been working to make sure that the security settings are right, and part of that process has turned out to be turning things a little bit too tight before we could get them to the point where they were just right. All right. Another question is, what platform is the Hub based on? So the software we use for the Hub is called Connected Community. It's provided by a company called Higher Logic. They provide software for associations, so membership groups who want to provide online networking and resource sharing for their organization. And we've customized it quite a bit for our particular use. And another question is, have you reached out to NCSHA? There's a great group of communications folks there. NCSHA is the National Council of State Housing Agencies. Thank you for that question. Yes, I have. And you're right, that is a great group. And I hope that we'll have some more of those folks here on the Hub. All right, another question is, can we see the Hub in action? Absolutely. So this is probably the part where I will start to have some technical difficulties, but I will go ahead and try to pull up the Hub so you can take a look at it together. And if you continue to have questions, please go ahead and type them into that question box, and I'll be happy to answer them. So this is how the Housing Communications Hub looks for me. You see my profile is up here, so I can access that. I can read messages, can update my profile. I have this little toolbar on the side here that you won't have because it's just for the site administrators. So this is it. Let's go to the discussion. So once you've joined the community, this is what the discussion looks like. So you can see the latest postings. You can see the latest files that are associated with this community. So everything that's in the resource library, you'll see the latest files here. And then to go to the discussions, you can click that tab. There's several ways to kind of get to everything. And then you'll see a list of the latest messages that have been posted on the Hub. And you'll see that there's already a good deal of content, even though we've really only been in our final mode for a little bit now. So I encourage you, once you're in and have permission, to sort of look through all of these questions and comments that people have and see if you have something of your own to share. This is the, I'll take you to a better view. So this is the resource library. Again, it's the kind of thing where there's a number of ways to get to the same place. This is the resource library main page. If you hover, again, over the resource library tab in the ribbon menu, you can bring up this flyout menu and go straight to resources that are of particular interest to you, because they've been categorized this way by the people who've uploaded them. And you can also just view everything, and you can search for resources based on keywords or by who uploaded them. And you can click the gray Share a Resource button and share your own resource. I'll show you what it looks like when you view all of the resources. You get a pretty long list. And you see that each resource is associated directly with the person who shared it. So that way, if you have questions about the resource and want to talk to the person who shared it on the Hub, you can go straight to them. You see we have a number of resources here. So when a resource has been shared, it looks like this. With the title of the resource, you have the person who uploaded it, you have the categories that it belongs to, and a description, which is something that, these are all things that you can customize yourself when you're sharing something. And then you can upload multiple files. So with this particular resource, there's an executive summary, and then there's a questionnaire from the poll itself. So if you have resources that are related to one another, you might want to share them all together, or you can share them individually. It's really up to your preference. Checking to see if you have more questions. Okay. So I'll also show you the blog section, how to get there from your profile. So with your profile, you go there from my profile. And then you have all these different tabs. So you can change your privacy settings. You can see everything that you've posted, all of your discussion postings, all the files that you've shared. And you can go to your blog. When you're logged in, you can also see other Hub members' profiles this way. You, of course, won't be able to see their privacy settings, and you won't be able to alter their profile the same way that you can alter your own. So this is the blog section. Everyone's kind of looks the same. You can add your blog post here. You can see I actually only have one blog post, so this is the one that you're going to be able to see. But if there were more, you'd be able to click more and see all blog posts. All right. So I encourage you another question. When resources are shared, are they in the library permanently? Some items we may want to remove after they're no longer relevant. For example, when federal budget proposals for HUD have been replaced by actual enacted budget. All right, so let's take a look at the resource library. So as someone who has administrative privileges, I'm able to delete any resource. And I think at this point, other individuals who don't have administrative privileges aren't able to delete resources. So if you put something up and you want it to come down, just let me know, and I would be able to take that down for you if you find that you don't have this section over here that allows you to edit or delete. But our hope is that what you'll be sharing here are things that are sort of perennially useful. So, even if the budget appropriation has changed and our advocacy around it has changed, we hope that what you're sharing will have some kind of evergreen value, whether it's a way of talking about the budget or an organizing technique that you've used, that kind of thing. If you are sharing something or have an interest in sharing something that's really policy specific, you might want to consider sharing that on housingpolicy.org, the site that I referenced earlier, because that's much more policy and sort of housing practice related. And I know it's a fine distinction, but it's just something to think about. All right. So it looks like we don't have a ton of other questions. We have one more question about the platforms that we looked at before settling on this one. I would love for you to send me an email, and I can chat with you about that offline. But I'm happy to have that discussion. And it also looks like a couple of you are having that technical issue that I mentioned. So I will look into that. Send me an email and let me know if that's the issue that you're having. And I will work with the tech support folks for the Connected Community software and see if we can get that fixed once and for all. Thank you all for listening to this webinar, for participating. If I didn't get to your question, or if you have a question in the future, please do get in touch through any of the means that I presented to you, and I'll do my best to help you out. Before you take off, I wanted to give you a heads up about these upcoming NHC events that I hope will be of interest to you, and there'll be more information coming out about them very soon. Thank you so much for participating in this webinar and for your interest in the Hub. Look out for an email from me very soon with a link to access the slides from the webinar as well as a recording. You'll also find a link to a quick survey in that email. this is the first of what I hope will be many introductory webinars for the Hub, and I'd love your feedback to help improve the experience. Thank you again, and I will see you on the Hub.